Because I was poor, I was working multiple jobs to pay off my boyfriend's debts. But my poor boyfriend showed up at an auction, and he spent lavishly. For the final jade pendant, to make his childhood sweetheart smile, he instructed his assistant to make a statement bid. 3 years of misplaced devotion, and I finally understood that he was never truly sincere with me. My birth mother found me, but he became the family's outcast. He knelt on the ground, begging me, "You keep making money, and I'll marry you once I get into grad school." Before we continue, please subscribe to this channel and tell us in the comments where you're listening from. I am the most mysterious auctioneer in the city's elite circles. No one has ever seen my true face. I only appear at jewelry auctions, and each time I wear an exquisite purple mask, revealing only the lower half of my face. The powerful elite privately rumored that I might be the reclusive daughter of some prominent family. Tonight's auction was exceptionally lively. Most of the powerful elite from the city's elite circles were present. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to tonight's jewelry auction. The spotlight focused on me, and I could feel countless eyes scrutinizing me. Those gazes held curiosity, desire, and disdain. The auction proceeded smoothly, with valuable jewelry pieces being bid on one by one. Until the third auction item, the chain of azure sea. A necklace woven with emeralds and ocean pearls, full of vitality and vibrancy. Starting bid, 500,000, I announced. 1 million, a familiar voice came from the right side of the hall. Through my mask, I saw the person. The person was dressed in designer clothes, a woman adorned with jewelry nestled beside him, and on the hand that embraced her, a Patek FLREF.5175 watch was subtly visible peeking from his cuff. How could it be my boyfriend? Ethan Sterling, the poor student who was about to graduate this year. I also recognized the woman beside him. Tiffany Davis, the heiress of Tang Corporation. How could they be together? I suppressed the doubt in my heart. 1.2 million, another bidder offered. 1.5 million, Ethan Sterling raised the bid without hesitation, not even blinking. Finally, after 3 calls for bids, the gavel fell, and the sale was made. The necklace, at 1.5 million, fell into Ethan Sterling's hands. 02 Ethan Sterling then acquired the next few jewelry pieces at astounding prices, all given to Tiffany Davis. My hand trembled slightly, but despite my shock, I maintained a perfect expression and tone. Next is the last auction item for tonight, an antique jade phoenix pendant from the Qing dynasty, said to be an imperial heirloom, with smooth jade and exquisite carving. Starting bid, 3 million. My earpiece informed me that this collection piece had been added at the last minute. When the jade pendant was presented, my breath almost hitched. It was the jade pendant I had worn since childhood, the one that had grown up with me. It had disappeared a month ago, and I had searched everywhere for it, to no avail. How could it be here? 3.5 million. Ethan Sterling immediately raised his paddle. My vision blurred for a moment, and my fingernails dug deep into my palms. This jade pendant was priceless to me. It carried so many of my memories. And now, it was displayed on the auction block as a commodity. 4 million. Another collector bid. 5 million. Ethan Sterling's voice held an air of confident determination. I saw Tiffany Davis say something to Ethan Sterling. Her lips seemed to form, "I like it." The other collector also truly liked the jade pendant, exchanging bids back and forth with Ethan Sterling. Finally, Ethan Sterling seemed to grow impatient and whispered instructions to his assistant. Then, a staff member approached Ethan Sterling, apparently to verify funds. Bidder 68, making a statement bid. 03 A murmur of disgust. Sound rippled through the auction hall. This price had already far exceeded the jade pendant's actual value. And now, someone was still willing to spend lavishly, making a statement bid for this jade pendant. 35 million once, 35 million twice. My voice trembled slightly. Sold. Congratulations to bidder 68. After the auction, I practically stormed into the back office lounge. I ripped off my mask and threw it onto the sofa, revealing my reflection, pale-faced with bloodshot eyes. Trembling, I pulled out my cell phone and dialed Ethan Sterling's number. "Hello, Gracie?" His voice was as gentle as ever, as if the stranger who had just spent lavishly wasn't him. "Where are you right now?" I said through gritted teeth. "Right now? I'm out driving for a ride-sharing service." Even now, he was still lying to me. After hanging up, I asked my assistant. Learning that Ethan Sterling and some VIPs were still in the lounge, I hurried over. 04, Ethan, that woman doesn't know your real identity, right? Through the half-open lounge door, I saw the man at the center of a group. "Yeah, Ethan, didn't you promise Grace Sterling you'd tell her you were the Sterling family heir once you graduated?" The man scoffed. Grace Sterling? Is she even worthy? Hearing that, I froze, stopping my steps. The woman he claimed wasn't worthy was me. If it wasn't to get revenge for how she bullied Tiffany Davis in high school, why would I ever get close to a woman like that? Ethan, I heard she's working multiple jobs to pay off debts. Yeah, he replied carelessly. I told her my ID had been used by my dad for a loan, and she offered to help me pay it back. All that loan money went to buy gifts for Tiffany Davis, but it worked out perfectly. The harder she worked, the more satisfied I felt. Tiffany Davis suffered so much because of her back then, Ethan Sterling added. I felt a wave of dizziness, my fingernails digging deeply into my palms as I forced myself to remain calm. In high school, it was actually Tiffany Davis who led the bullying against me, putting a dead mouse in my desk, and finally taking the class funds and framing me for it. Ethan Sterling rescued me after I fell into the water, and we slowly began a relationship afterward. He went through all that trouble to pretend to be poor, all just to get revenge on me for Tiffany Davis? 05, Ethan, I heard you were working construction every day, saving up money to buy a ring and marry her. Is that true? What nonsense are you talking about? Ethan Sterling kicked the man. I was just putting on an act. I can't believe she actually fell for it. He chuckled, a playful smirk on his face. Ha, she was just entertainment for me when I was bored and trying out the poor life. Everyone present burst into laughter, mocking my foolishness. Grace Sterling, that old woman, besides her face and figure, what part of her is worthy of Ethan? She's just a plaything for satisfying desires. Ethan Sterling took a sip of his wine, not denying it. I used to think my boyfriend was poor, even in debt, but that he loved me deeply. He had even suffered a lingering leg injury from rescuing me when I fell into the water, which always bothered him on rainy days. For the first 2 years of our relationship, Ethan Sterling was still in college. To earn money and pay off his debts, besides my auction work, I also held multiple jobs. After paying off the debts, I even bought an apartment in an older apartment complex. My major in college was design, and I excelled in it. Tutoring, teaching at an art studio, taking on design projects. I did anything that paid. Every day after class, he would pick me up at the studio entrance, always bringing me my favorite bubble tea. This year he started an internship, and his salary was very low. But he wouldn't spend a single cent of what he earned, he'd give it all to me. He'd say, honey, you're supposed to hold on to my salary for me. Back then, his repeated calls of, honey made me blush profusely. Ethan Sterling was very good to me, buying me many clothes and all my favorite foods. Each time, I felt a pang of sympathy for him and told him not to waste money. But he would always smile and say he understood, then go back to working construction, hauling cement, claiming he was saving up to buy a big diamond ring to marry me. Just when I thought we truly loved each other and things would get better. Today, this different, Ethan Sterling, struck me like a bolt from the blue. 06 Just as I was about to go in, Tiffany Davis gracefully entered through another door. Ethan Sterling immediately rushed to meet her, his face sporting an eager smile I had never seen before. Tiffany Davis, this is for you. Ethan Sterling took a velvet box from his pocket. It's the last collection piece from today's auction. Tiffany Davis opened it and exclaimed with exaggerated surprise, wow, it's so beautiful. Then she suddenly frowned. But this, it looks like that woman's jade pendant. Hearing this, Ethan Sterling stepped forward, took it, and examined it closely. It had the caricature inscribed on it. It really does seem to be. But didn't I sell this back then? To reward you for getting your driver's license, I added extra money for you to travel abroad, didn't I? What? Ethan Sterling really did sell my jade pendant, all to reward his childhood sweetheart. Humph. She pouted, displeased. Ethan, I don't like anything that woman has worn, not even if it just looks similar. You don't mind how I get rid of it, right? Anything given to Tiffany Davis is hers. A mere 30 million, as long as Tiffany Davis is happy, that's all that matters. With that, she actually raised the jade pendant high and savagely smashed it to the ground for everyone to see. The sharp cracking sound was like a knife piercing my heart. My jade pendant, which held such immense meaning for me, was gone just like that. My body moved before my mind. I pushed through the crowd and shoved Tiffany Davis aside. What are you doing? Ethan Sterling roared, raising his hand and slapping me. That was mine. My voice was hoarse. My jade pendant. Tiffany Davis clutched her face, a familiar flicker of malice in her eyes. She collapsed into Ethan Sterling's arms, whimpering, Ethan, she pushed me. Ethan Sterling instinctively pushed the woman from his embrace. Grace Sterling? What are you doing here? The moment Ethan Sterling realized it was me, I saw panic in his eyes. Who gave you permission to sell my property without my consent? My voice trembled slightly. The man before me merely twitched his lips. So what if I sold it? What's the big deal, he said, taking the watch off his wrist and holding it out to me. Alright, take this, it's worth far more than your broken jade pendant. I didn't take it, just stared motionlessly into Ethan Sterling's eyes. Tiffany Davis beside him snickered, a broken jade pendant, and you cherish it so much? Ethan's watch is worth 10,000 times more than yours. Who gave you permission to sell my property without my consent? I repeated. I told you I gave it to. Before he could finish, I picked up a glass of wine nearby and splashed it onto Ethan Sterling's face. Ethan Sterling, you're truly disgusting. Still not satisfied, I hurled the glass in my hand at Ethan Sterling. 07 No one knew that I grew up in an orphanage. Director Eleanor said I was left at the entrance, a tiny baby, so frozen I couldn't even cry. After she took me in, she found a jade pendant around my neck with the character "Sure" inscribed on it. The next day, I developed a high fever and stayed in the hospital for a month. Director Eleanor named me Gracie, a name she said symbolized resilience and strength. I don't know if the name worked, but after I was named, my fever broke. I grew up in the orphanage, never adopted by a family. Dire. Tor Eleanor was with me from childhood until I went to college. In my heart, she was already my mother. Some time ago, Director Eleanor fell ill. By then, I had paid off all my debts and saved 300,000. But Ethan Sterling said I was still working, and the money I saved should be entrusted to him. I agreed. The day I learned Director Eleanor needed surgery, I immediately went to Ethan Sterling for the money. But at the campus gate, when I asked him for the money, he said, Gracie, my sister got her driver's license and wanted to go out and have fun, so I gave her all the money to go traveling. After that day, we had our longest Cold War. And the only thing I could sell for money, the jade pendant, had also vanished. Director Eleanor also passed away because of the delayed treatment, leaving me forever. Yet, at that time, because of his past act of saving my life, I was easily swayed by Ethan Sterling's words. Gracie, it's alright, you still have me. I'll be there for you. Replacing Director Eleanor. You know Director Eleanor liked me too. If she saw us together, she definitely wouldn't be sat up there. Gracie, the living are what matter most. From now on, all the money I earn will be yours. Okay, Ethan Sterling, you were clearly wealthy, yet when Director Eleanor fell ill, you just watched me suffer and agonize, even though her illness could have been cured with money. Instead, you gave the money to your sister, I sneered, pointing at Tiffany Davis. This sister, it's her, isn't it? Watching my only family member die, watching the jade pendant that had been with me since childhood shatter. Did you find that amusing? I looked at the familiar man before me. He wasn't my Ethan Sterling. In a daze, my tears betrayed me, rolling down my cheeks. I turned and fled from there. Ethan Sterling, behind me, seemed startled by my tears and called out to my retreating back. Gracie. 08 I returned home. This home, filled with me. Memories of Ethan Sterling. I quickly gathered Ethan Sterling's belongings into a trash bag, along with the gifts he had once given me, and threw them all into the downstairs garbage bin. Presumably, the young master no longer needed to pretend and certainly wouldn't want these cheap items anymore. I suddenly remembered the necklace he had given me, still around my neck. After taking it off, the pendant's locket sprang open, revealing a photo of the two of us inside. In the photo, we were close, our smiles bright. Looking at it now, I only felt immense irony. After disposing of the trash, I lay on the bed, my head resting uncomfortably on the pillow. Beneath the pillow was a gift I had originally intended for Ethan Sterling. It was a watch. That day, he had stared at it in front of the mall for quite a while. Ethan, do you want this watch? It's too expensive. I don't want it at all. Your nose will grow like Pinocchio's, you liar. For the past few months, I had been working tirelessly from dawn till dusk, working multiple jobs a day. I finally saved up enough money to buy this 4-figure watch. But now, it wasn't needed. I locked this gift, which would never find its recipient, in a drawer. 09 Today was Director Eleanor's death anniversary. First thing in the morning, I drove to the cemetery. I placed white daisies in front of the gravestone. A year had passed. I still dreamed of Director Eleanor, her calloused yet warm hands gently patting my back, lulling me to sleep. Director Eleanor, I miss you so much. I knelt on the stone slab, my fingertips gently tracing the perpetually smiling photo on the gravestone. As I spoke, a gust of wind swept past, as if Director Eleanor were gently stroking my head. I sat there from day until night. My cell phone suddenly rang, the screen displaying an unknown number. After a moment's hesitation, I answered. Gracie. The voice on the other end was slurred, the background noisy. I miss you so much, I'm drunk, see. Would you come pick me up? It was Ethan Sterling on the phone. You should call Tiffany Davis, not me, I said coldly, preparing to hang up. Don't be like that, Gracie, I know I was wrong. Can we go back to how things were before? Before? I scoffed. Did he really think we could go back to how things were? I detest deception. Ethan Sterling, the day I found out you lied to me, that was the end of us. With that, I hung up the phone. The next second, a torrential downpour began without warning. The rain drenched me completely, dripping from my body onto Director Eleanor's gravestone. The rain grew heavier, beating against my face, making it impossible to tell if it was rain or tears. Just then, a black umbrella was held over my head. Looking up, I met a familiar face. Marcus. Marcus Thorne? The man took off his suit jacket and draped it over my shoulders. I happened to be nearby and saw you passing by. His gaze fell on my soaked clothes. Get in the car, I'll take you home. Once inside the car, a faint scent of sandalwood filled the warm, dry air. He handed me a towel. Wipe yourself off, thank you, I murmured, suddenly feeling a wave of exhaustion wash over me. Outside the car window, the rain continued to intensify. Marcus Thorne and I drove in silence. Marcus Thorne and I met at a design competition. At that competition, I placed first, and he came in second. After it ended, the boy, blushing, asked for my contact information. Later, I saw him in the financial news. Only then did I realize he was the head of Thorne Group. He once spoke to me about his dreams, saying he wanted to be the most accomplished designer in the world. I used to tease him then. You can be second, as long as I'm around, first place will always be mine, okay? His serious eyes, unwavering, looked at me. Miss Sterling is the best. 11. The car stopped at the entrance of my apartment complex. The rain had eased, but Marcus Thorne still insisted on walking me to my building. Just as we stood downstairs, preparing to say goodbye, a dark figure suddenly rushed out from the side. Grace Sterling, you're already with another man so soon? Ethan Sterling's voice was full of anger and drunkenness. Hearing his words, I found it utterly absurd and laughable. A man who had lied to me, who had casually given away my money and my jade pendant to someone else. How dare he have the nerve to question me here? Ethan Sterling seemed to recognize Marcus Thorne. Grace Sterling, don't be naive, you and he aren't from the same circles or the same world, you're just his plaything, don't you think the same way? I retorted sarcastically, and Ethan Sterling froze. The next moment, he grabbed my hand, but I recoiled from him as if he were a viper. Gracie, I'm not like them. What you heard a few days ago, none of it was my true feelings. Gracie, I love you, and you still love me, don't you? I looked at him with disgust. Ethan Sterling, don't you find yourself incredibly hypocritical and repulsive? We are completely over. Just a few days ago he was lying to me, and now he claims to love me. This love is truly cheap. Ethan Sterling stared fixedly at me, his pupils bloodshot. He seemed unable to believe that I no longer loved him. Marcus Thorne took my hand, trying to steer me around Ethan Sterling and walk me upstairs. The next second, Ethan Sterling blocked our path. Completely over? Grace Sterling, you must be lying to me, right? I don't believe it. Even now, he was still deluding himself. 12. After returning home, that night I dreamed of the first time Ethan Sterling and I met. Ethan Sterling had actually saved me twice, but only I remembered the first time. That was my first encounter with Ethan Sterling. At that time, I was still in college, and Ethan Sterling had just graduated high school. To earn living expenses, I worked part-time at a 24-hour convenience store. The person covering my shift that day was very late, and it was 2 in the morning by the time I left. I rented a small apartment near my school for convenience with my part-time job. But since it was an older apartment complex, security wasn't very good. On my way home, I kept feeling like someone was following me. I couldn't help but feel a chill down my spine and quickened my pace. The footsteps behind me grew closer and closer. Suddenly, 2 men blocked my path. Sweetheart, going home so late? Do you want us brothers to walk you back? The man with yellow hair grinned, revealing a mouthful of crooked teeth. We brothers will escort you home, the man with the buzz cut echoed, reaching out to grab my wrist. I took a step back. The punk with the buzz cut had a knife in his hand. And no, thank you. My voice was shaking uncontrollably. Don't be so cold. The yellow-haired man stepped closer, a mix of alcohol and cigarette smoke assaulting my senses. Just chat with us brothers for a bit. The buzzcut man's hand was already on my shoulder. I stiffened, fear engulfing me like a tide. I wanted to scream for help, but my throat felt constricted, only allowing faint gasps to escape. Let her go. A low, cold male voice came from behind me. Both punks turned around simultaneously, and I followed their gaze. Beneath the street lamp stood a tall figure, his face obscured by the backlight. Oh, a knight in shining armor? The buzzcut man let go of me, turning to face the newcomer. Kid, mind your own business, or we'll take care of you too. But before the punk could lunge at him, his fist landed squarely on the buzzcut man's face, while a sidekick sent the knife flying from his hand. The knife clattered onto the ground a few meters away. The buzzcut man stumbled backward, his nose bleeding profusely. You just wait. The yellow-haired man, realizing they were outmatched, spat out this threat. Helping the buzzcut man up, the two fled in disarray. After the two punks left, he walked me home. And then departed. At that time, I still didn't know his name. 13. I woke up from the dream. People say that dreaming of your first encounter with someone is the beginning of forgetting them. Unexpectedly, I ran into Ethan Sterling again not long after. My studio had taken on a new project, and I was assigned to be the liaison. I gazed at the night view outside the glass window, then looked down at my watch again. The project manager was already 40 minutes late, and I was about to text my assistant to ask what was going on. Someone pulled out the chair opposite me and sat down. A familiar face appeared before me. It was Ethan Sterling again. He looked at me and gestured to a server to bring food. Have something to eat. You've gotten thinner since I last saw you. The supposed new project collaboration had turned into a private dinner with Ethan Sterling. Ethan Sterling, are you using work as an excuse to ask me out? The man in front of me didn't reply. He suddenly leaned forward, his eyes holding an emotion I couldn't decipher. Spend one night with me, and I'll give you the project. My memory suddenly flashed back to the past. Back then, Ethan Sterling and I were walking past a mall full of luxury brands. He pointed towards a display counter and promised me, sweetheart, I'll buy all of this for you someday. The man before me and the boy in my memories were completely unrecognizable. Now, he had become vulgar and repulsive. I made it very clear last time, we're over. I closed the documents I had prepared, put them in my bag, and stood up to leave. If there's no business to discuss, then please excuse me. With those words, I stood up and walked out. Ethan Sterling grabbed my wrist, yanking me back onto the stool with a painful force. Ethan Sterling, what exactly do you want? Let's make up, be good like we used to be. I scoffed, opened my cell phone to my messages, and put his intimate photos with Tiffany Davis right in front of him. After that night, you went to Tiffany Davis, didn't you? The next morning, she sent me these photos. Is this what you call loving me? In the photos, their poses were extremely intimate, their bodies entwined in a way that left little to the imagination. I was just drunk. She seduced me, he desperately explained. I no longer believed a word he said. Grace Sterling, aren't you always after money? I'll give it to you. With that, he took the money from his bag and scattered it all over me. Ethan Sterling, do you think I care about money? In the 3 years you pretended to be poor, when did I ever look down on you? With that, I picked up my bag and left, leaving Ethan Sterling stunned where he stood. 13. After returning home, I clung to the toilet, throwing up. Suddenly, remembering my period hadn't arrived this month, I quickly ordered a pregnancy test from a delivery app. An hour later, I stared at the faint and dark lines on the pregnancy test. Reluctantly, I booked an appointment for a checkup the next day. If I were pregnant, it wouldn't be good news for me right now. The next morning, the hospital was packed. Fortunately, I had booked an appointment in advance, and the test results came back quickly. I wasn't pregnant, and a huge weight lifted from my shoulders. Before leaving the gynecology department, I encountered Ethan Sterling again. I vaguely heard him arguing with Tiffany Davis. You've been lying to me about being sick all this time. How many times have I abandoned Gracie for you? Ethan, listen to me. Get out. It's all your fault. Gracie has left me now. My fault? But you were the one who said you'd get revenge for me, and that I was younger and more attractive than her. Before, when it rained, when I fell, when I was sick, on countless occasions when I needed Ethan Sterling, he would say his sister was having an episode and needed him by her side, ignoring me completely. I worried that his sister's illness was very serious. So I kept understanding and forgiving him again and again. It turned out that, in his heart, his childhood sweetheart sister had always been more important than me. He even pretended to be poor to get revenge on me for his childhood sweetheart sister. But I had never bullied Tiffany Davis. I didn't want to watch them fighting among themselves. I was about to leave, but sharp-eyed Ethan Sterling still blocked my way. Gracie, what are you doing here? He looked in the direction I came from, where the gynecology sign was hanging. I didn't know what he was thinking, but his eyes were slightly red as he looked at me. Then he looked down and saw the test results in my hand. Gracie, are you pregnant? Ignoring Ethan Sterling blocking my path, I walked around them and hurried home. That evening, I received a text message from an unknown number. 137XXXXXX89, Gracie, you're pregnant. Should I come back to our home and take care of you? Me, your home? For the past 3 years, the mortgage payments have been deducted from my card. Don't forget, young Master Ethan, I've been supporting you for these 3 years. After sending the message, I blocked the number. But every day after that, Ethan Sterling seemed completely engrossed in his devoted lover persona. Every day brought a steady stream of nutritious meals, nutritious soups, and rose bouquets. I wouldn't believe he was a reformed playboy, he was just unwilling to let go. He transferred money to me again and again, each time with the message, "Don't be afraid to spend it." After receiving so many, I grew utterly annoyed and stopped him. Ethan Sterling thought I had finally forgiven him, that I was finally willing to talk to him. Gracie, I'm not pregnant, and I don't need your nutritious meals. Don't send them anymore. If you have that much spare time, go take care of your little childhood sweetheart. What makes you think I'd wait for you forever? Also, I'm allergic to roses. With that, I drove away, leaving Ethan Sterling standing alone. My assistant texted me, saying Ethan Sterling stood motionless by the door for a long time before finally leaving. I shook my head. The next second, my cell phone received a payment notification, 5 million transferred into my card from an unknown card number. It came with the message, "I'm sorry, I love you." Knowing it was from Ethan Sterling, I didn't send it back. It was what I deserved. I had already found out why my jade pendant appeared at the auction. Ethan Sterling sold the jade pendant for $220,000 to get extra money for Tiffany Davis's trip abroad. The jade pendant was bought by someone the next day and sent to the auction house for auction. Ultimately, combining it with my savings, Ethan Sterling transferred $520,000 to Tiffany Davis. $520,000, if only I had that money. Director Eleanor's illness surely could have been cured, but now, no amount of regret could change anything. Director Eleanor, I'm sorry. It was all my fault for trusting the wrong person. 14 My studio entered a busy period. I no longer took on auction assignments, dedicating myself entirely to jewelry design projects. Tiffany Davis and Ethan Sterling had reconciled, and my cell phone was constantly bombarded with their intimate photos together. But what did that have to do with me? Ethan Sterling, however, kept sending me messages asking for forgiveness behind Tiffany Davis's back. I blocked one number, and he'd use another. I was exasperated. Could both of them just leave me alone? The June breeze carried the warmth of early summer, rustling through my loosely tied hair. Scattered on the desk were several design drafts, new product proposals I had designed for the project after 3 sleepless nights. Grace Sterling, the voice came from the studio entrance. The next second, Ethan Sterling pushed the door open and entered. The man, wearing a graduation gown, walked towards me. His face held the gentle, familiar smile I once knew. Behind him were the buddies who had surrounded him that day, all holding cameras. "What are you doing here again?" I frowned, my fingers unconsciously tightening around the pencil in my hand. Ethan Sterling suddenly knelt on one knee and pulled a velvet box from his pocket. The moment the box opened, I saw the ring inside. A plain band ring, glinting cheaply under the light. "Grace Sterling, we've been together for 3 years. Will you marry me?" He then changed his tone. "Although we had a small disagreement recently, I believe we truly love each other." Hearing that, I let out a cold laugh. Thankfully, I was the only one in the studio, my other colleagues had gone out. Ethan Sterling truly was like an unkillable cockroach. What made him think I would wait for him forever, loving him always? "Ethan Sterling, you're dreaming again, Gracie. Didn't we promise that you'd marry me once I graduated? And I've been reflecting on my mistakes recently. Don't be shy, just say yes." The people nearby began to chant, marry him, all of you, get out. Don't disturb me here." A figure appeared before us. It was Tiffany Davis. She angrily threw a graduation cap at Ethan Sterling. "Didn't you say you'd be good to me and we'd be together in the future? But I don't love you. I love Grace Sterling. I want to marry her." I was caught in the crossfire. "I don't want to marry you. If you want to argue, take it outside. Don't cause a scene here." After hearing my words, Ethan Sterling's face paled considerably. The group arrived full of bluster, then left dejectedly. Once the studio quieted down, I sat back in my chair and let out a long sigh. 15 A few days later, I encountered them both again at a banquet. Ethan Sterling watched me enter, arm in arm with Marcus Thorne, his gaze fixed on us, his eyes dark and unreadable. As I passed Tiffany Davis, she rolled her eyes at me. I thought you really snagged a rich man, but it turns out you're just a mistress. Ethan Sterling frowned upon hearing this. Gracie, this isn't where you belong. If you want to be a mistress, why not be mine? His tone of concern was not fake. I rolled my eyes, speechless. I couldn't fathom their thought processes. Distinguished guests. Eleanor Sterling, on stage, wore a haute couture gown and carried herself with great elegance. Welcome everyone to Sterling Jewelry's 50th anniversary celebration. I have two pieces of joyful news to announce. First, I have found my long-lost daughter. Second, from today forward, Sterling Jewelry will be fully managed by my biological daughter. Please welcome my daughter, Grace Sterling, to the stage. Under the curious gazes of the crowd, Ethan Sterling's astonished gaze, and Tiffany Davis's envious glare, I calmly walked towards the stage. Yes, Eleanor Sterling was my mother. During the week I was swamped with work for the studio. Eleanor Sterling approached me. From her, I learned that my birth child and the mistress's child had been swapped back then. The day Eleanor Sterling gave birth, the mistress was also forced to have an early C-section, all for the purpose of swapping her child with Eleanor Sterling's biological child. Mr. Sterling thought he had fooled everyone. Eleanor Sterling said it might have been an innate mother-daughter connection. She felt that the child who had been swapped wasn't hers. At that time, the swapped child didn't have a jade pendant around their neck. Mr. Sterling said the caregiver must have stolen it. After Eleanor Sterling replaced the caregiver the next day, she also underwent a paternity test. Only then did she discover I was missing. As for young me, no one knew where the mistress had abandoned me. Eleanor Sterling had been searching for me all this time, but there was no trace. It was because of that auction that she saw the jade pendant she had once placed around her child's neck. From that day on, Eleanor Sterling took notice of me. And she felt and I was practically her spitting image when she was young. Not only did we look identical, but we also shared the same unyielding spirit. After undergoing a paternity test, it was confirmed that I was indeed her daughter. Eleanor Sterling knew about Ethan Sterling and me, and she told me that Ethan Sterling is actually the mistress's illegitimate son. The true heir to the Sterling family has already been found. That Ethan Sterling, he's in for it. Karma. 16 Just as he realized he had missed out on me, the heiress of the largest jewelry empire, the news of him being an illegitimate son also began to spread online. After the banquet, Ethan Sterling disappeared for a while. Tiffany Davis also left him and fell into the arms of Liam Sterling, the true heir to the Sterling family. Ethan Sterling had become the outcast of the Sterling family. In truth, Tiffany Davis didn't genuinely like Ethan Sterling, she just enjoyed being the center of attention. I heard Ethan Sterling's current situation was a complete mess. Since taking over Sterling Jewelry, I'd been working overtime every day, reviewing new quarterly design drafts. I hadn't noticed the countless text messages accumulating in my spam folder. After Eleanor Sterling welcomed me back into the Sterling family, I moved into the Sterling family mansion. But I remembered that a set of jewelry design drafts I had created was still in my old home. That evening, I went back to retrieve the drawings. As soon as I reached the door, I regretted it. There, by the doorway, lay a man, half asleep. I watched from a distance. It looked like Ethan Sterling. The next second, he slowly came to. He saw me, as if I were his savior. Gracie, I regret it. I shouldn't have lied to you. I've seen Tiffany Davis's true colors. It turns out she was the one who's been bullying you all along. I scoffed at his words. So what? I shouldn't have pretended to be poor to deceive you. I shouldn't have given all your savings and the EY from selling your jade pendant to that wicked Tiffany Davis. I was just blinded by obsession. As he spoke, he started slapping himself. I stood my ground, unmoved. Did Ethan Sterling think that would make me go soft on him? Gracie, I miss the days when we cooked in the kitchen together, cleaned together, and delivered takeout to earn money. Gracie, you keep earning money, fund my graduate studies. Once I get into grad school, I'll marry you, okay? Hearing his words, I just thought he was delusional. Him, wanting to go to grad school? Besides, I'm not a garbage collector. Then he pulled out the diamond ring I'd once said I liked from his pocket. Gracie, the ring you said you liked last time, I bought it for you. Put it on quickly, see if it fits. This was the best ring he could afford now. Throw it away. I don't need it. Instantly, Ethan Sterling knelt before me. He looked up at me with those bloodshot eyes, tried to say something, but then he fainted. 17 Ethan Sterling was sent to the hospital. My world was finally peaceful. If he hadn't been an illegitimate son, Ethan Sterling's arrogant head would never have bowed so easily. He used to humiliate me with money, now he desperately needed money. Karma. Not just Ethan Sterling, the Davis family was also investigated for tax evasion and collapsed. After that day, Ethan Sterling never appeared before me again, but Tiffany Davis kept causing a scene downstairs at my company. I was too busy, and she always came up empty-handed, chased away by the security guard. She cornered me in the parking lot. Tiffany Davis in front of me looked disheveled, completely devoid of the pampered arrogance and beauty of a former heiress. The moment she saw me, she started yelling insults at me. Why? Why do I have nothing, and you're living so well? Ethan Sterling likes you, and Marcus Thorne is pursuing you too. You ruined my jade pendant, and I haven't even settled that score with you. What nerve do you have to question me here? Before I could answer, Tiffany Davis was led away by the arriving police. She shouted loudly, "Die, Grace Sterling, just die." 6 months later, Sterling Jewelry's sub-brand, Hue, debuted on the stage of one of the Big Four fashion weeks. As I stood on stage for the curtain call, my eyes welled up. Camera flashes popped, one after another, and I saw Marcus Thorne standing in the front row. He applauded harder than anyone, a smile on his face more proud than if he'd achieved success himself. After the show, Marcus Thorne and I sat on the hotel rooftop. "Are you tired?" he asked. "Tired, but it's worth it." I looked up, gazing at the night sky. "It feels like a dream." Marcus Thorne chuckled. "It's not a dream. Your talent has finally been recognized." The man in front of me hesitated for a moment, then reached out and gently smoothed my wind-blown hair. "I always knew you could do it." His fingers were warm, and his touch was as gentle as if he were afraid of breaking something precious. Later on, I heard that Ethan Sterling had gotten into gambling, and because he couldn't repay his money, one of his hands was cut off. My life and career continued to flourish. The people and events of the past no longer mattered. My life had countless new chapters ahead. Thank you for watching today's story. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and share it with your friends. We look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments section. Feel free to share your opinions, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more exciting stories. See you next time.